What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with some Raid Shadow Legends. We're going to jump right into it here. Today we're going to be taking a look at a budget strategy for wave clearing in the hard Doom Tower using some rare and epic champions. Got a little team we put together here we'll talk about here in a minute, but wanted to give a quick shout out to Soda Dragon. He and I kind of had similar ideas with this. He made a video a couple weeks ago that I'm going to link down below in the first comment, because he kind of went through this first using one of the champions that I've got in here, and that is Banshee, one of my favorite rare champions, and someone he also did a video on. So we had very similar ideas, but he kind of did it first, so I want to make sure kind of give him a little bit of the credit there and make sure he gets a shout out. So go check out his video. One of the best raid content creators you'll find, especially for mid-game, late-game content, so you won't have any trouble with any of the content once you start watching some of his videos. That said, let's go ahead and get into the team, and this is more about concepts really than it is about champions. This team is also usable if you're having trouble clearing waves in a normal Doom Tower, and we're mainly just talking about regular waves as we go through the hard Doom Tower. Obviously there's going to be some specific waves, especially higher up in the tower, like the last 20 levels, where you're going to need very specific champions for some of the content when you're dealing with 265 plus speed Siffy teams with double Rotos, double Mortem Cobs. There's all kinds of Tormund teams that are really difficult later on. You can apply similar concepts with this control debuff type team. The teams that I usually use later on in hard Doom Tower actually have Coronar and Angar as two of the key components, and Seal of the Drakes as well, because they all are very solid control champs with some really cool area of effect abilities that can lock down several of the enemies. So our basic concept here is, I believe this is wave 75 in the hard tower. I just kind of picked the higher up one to show that this team is kind of viable even with some difficulty they do face here toward the end. But we're up here on floor 75 running through these waves, and you'll notice that we're just getting a ton of debuffs on the enemy. We've got Leech going out, we've got Stun, we've got Heal Reduction, we've got a couple of Provokes going in and out here. Just throwing out everything that we can. And one of the things that we're doing here is we're taking advantage of Abyssal and Banshee specifically being rare champions. Easy to access, easy to book, easy to build, and they both have all AoEs for the most part. Now Banshee does have an A3 that's a single target that you can actually take off and turn off with the AI mechanics if you want her to just be using her A1 and A2, which are the AoE attacks. Abyssal just has that A1 if you want to turn it off his other abilities to just use that, but he does have a very helpful A2, and he's very good for buffing the team up. We're actually using Versolf as our lead here for the HP lead, and he is also a fairly easily accessible fusion champion who was one of the better fusions in my opinion. When I got him on my free-to-play account, he actually was what helped carry me through normal Doom Tower for the first time. We got Seal the Drakes in here. Of course, everyone knows how good she is as your 6-month login champion. And actually we're using epic Frostbringer, who brings a lot of buffs to the table and has some other utility as well. And so the basic concepts here are just taking advantage of control sets like the stun set. We actually do have a heal reduction set on Frostbringer that ties into her kit. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But we're basically just going to wear the enemy down by constantly keeping them debuffed. So either they can't heal, they can't use their abilities, they're stunned, they can't take turns. Turn meter control is another way you can do this. That's why I like to use Coronar on some of my more difficult waves, because Coronar can lock down that turn meter, constantly reduce that turn meter. And then Provoke is another one. We do have it with Versolf here. We don't really hit it too often, but Provoke is also another very good debuff to have in the Doom Tower, whether you're on normal or hard, and that's why Drexthar Blood Twin is actually a fairly good champion. Also pretty easily accessible, budget / free to play. You can get him out of the bazaar in the 3v3, and he's got a really great AoE Provoke, and even putting him in for someone on this team, we could plug him in pretty much for anybody and he would do very well. Now you see we do lose Abyssal here. We've lost, I think, Banshee on another wave, but that's why we do have Syl. She does have her revive, so she's able to bring them back. We really don't have too much of an issue, even though we did get the block revive off that Folly on our Abyssal, so we're kind of screwed not being able to bring him back. But as you'll see, this team is still able to get through this wave, and again, this is wave 75, hard Doom Tower. You know, you need halfway decent gear to get to this point, even if you have pretty good champions. But I just wanted to show this mainly because we are using some kind of off-the-wall, underrated champions that most people wouldn't be using in hard Doom Tower. Obviously, Syl of the Drakes, Versolf are both viable throughout most of the content in the game, but a lot of people don't know about Banshee. Abyssal was kind of a sleeper rare that came out with a fusion a while back, and Frostbringer is an epic that a lot of people trash on completely, but we're getting some good value out of her here. And again, this is all about the concept of just having a ton of debuffs. We don't really have any damage here with this team, but we're still going to be able to clear this wave, even with a fairly difficult setup of 2 Sathalias here on the last wave and the Foley with the block revive. But you see we're keeping the stuns on Foley, so he's really not able to do too much here, and we're getting down toward the end of it. You're going to see we cleared this pretty easily, pretty safely. We're all pretty much at full health, and we're pretty much going to roll it here. So once this gets done, we'll go in and we'll take a look at the actual champions. We'll look at their individual gear, their builds, and the masteries that are on them, so you guys can see what that looks like. Alright guys, here we are in the champion roster. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the champions and the gear we have on them that we used for those hard Doom Tower floors that you saw. We're going to start off here with Versolf the Grim. Again, one of the fusion champions that I feel like was kind of slept on. Very, very solid Force HP champion. Now, his gear is just kind of general here. For this video, I didn't want to really put these champions in amazing gear. This is not a typical gear setup I would have on Versolf, so we just kind of threw some ragtag stuff on him. We do have 1 set of Immortal and 1 set of Accuracy, kind of to give him a little bit of extra healing there when he is going through these waves. You can see we just got a random weapon on him here. It's not even glyphed yet. Got his helmet there. We do have a little bit of speed on some of these pieces, so that's always important. We always talk about how speed can really be helpful in a lot of these areas of the game. And we do have him in crit rate gloves because we did want to get him crit capped to take advantage of his damage, to see as one of the main damage dealers on the team that we featured. HP percent chest for him. Now, normally, if you can get him in them, it's good to try to run him in HP percent boots as well to give him even more survivability. But I did, again, want him to have a little bit of speed. Speed's very helpful in hard Doom Tower, since the waves do have a little bit more speed there. And you can see here we've got him in an HP ring, defense amulet there with a little bit of accuracy on it, and we do have him in an accuracy banner to kind of help him hit some of those debuffs. Got a decent double speed roll on that as well. But you can see here a lot of these aren't really even glyphed. We just kind of threw the gear on him to use for this. Let's see, I think my Versolf, okay, he's not even booked on this account, so there you go. We don't have any books in him. That makes him even more budget as a champion. And you can see here the masteries we have on him. We did go ahead and go down the damage path here to kind of help ourselves out a little bit. Plus he does benefit from doing damage, and also from going down the support tree, getting some accuracy in his build is always helpful. So that's kind of how we have Versolf set up here. As we're going through, I did mention this in the video, one alternative champion you can move into this is actually Drexthar Blood Twin, and that's mainly because he does have the AoE provoke on the Burning Lash here. So this is actually a really good ability to use in the Doom Tower, because if you can provoke the enemy, then they can't use their skills outside of their A1 on you. And that's kind of one of the things this team we featured did lack a little bit, was having that provoke champion. But Drexthar is pretty easily accessible if you're doing 3v3 arena through the Bazaar, 100 shards. You can get him fairly quickly if you're being diligent about doing your 3v3. So by the time you get to like hard Doom Tower, you should probably have Drexthar and be able to use him in that provoke capacity. So just another option I wanted to mention there. Even in hard Doom Tower, I run Angar and Koronar quite a bit as provoke champions, because they are very helpful for dealing with some of the more difficult waves, especially the ones with Siphi and Rhodos. Of course, we have Syl of the Drakes. We've talked about her a million times. Everybody at this point should know just how good Syl of the Drakes is in this game. We'll go through her gear really quickly. I think I just put some new pieces on her recently. That's why she doesn't have all of her glyphs finished, which is kind of weird. But we do have her in a speed set and a relentless set. And if I could get some of her speed glyphs on here and some defense glyphs, she would actually be quite a bit better. But you can just kind of see here how some of the gear is on her. We went for accuracy, speed, defense, our main stats first. to kind of take advantage of what she does. We did put her in crit rate gloves because we do want her to do a little bit of damage. She can do a fairly decent amount of damage if you get some crit rate built into her, but it's not a primary stat I would go for. Again, you want to try to get that accuracy, defense, HP, so she's got that tankiness. And again, you can see none of these are glyphed. We do have her in an accuracy chest. I'd rather have her in a defense percent chest here. That's why perception set is kind of good on her if you can get a defense percent chest in that, or a couple pieces you can throw in there to give her a little bit more accuracy. And we do have speed boots here that you know, had a decent HP substat. I'm not sure why I wasted a 6-star glyph on that, but whatever. It is what it is. And then we can see here with her accessories, they really are not glyphed at all. We just have defense, accuracy, giving her that total accuracy of 331, so she can land that stun. And I'll show you how her masteries are done too. I have my skill set up a little bit differently. She does go for damage, and then we have support tree as well to take advantage of some of those masteries. And she's just an amazing champion overall, jack of all trades. Can do quite a bit. All right, let's get further down here, and we can go into the one epic champion that we were using, and an epic that a lot of people like to actually trash on a little bit, but actually one of my favorite characters in the game is Frostbringer. I think aesthetically she looks really cool, and I think she also does have a fairly decent kit that it's kind of basic, and it's more of an early to mid game kit, but you can get a lot of mileage out of her if you pull her early enough in the game. She actually was one of the earliest epics I pulled on this account, hence why she's built out so well. And I did use her for quite a bit of content just because she has a pretty solid kit with the way she can support your team. Now, I did put her in a cursed set because she does get a little bit of extra utility with that heal reduction debuff when it is out. And I wanted to make sure she had a higher consistency with putting that out. You could also put her in any stun set. You can put her in the frost set from Frost Spider to try to get those frost debuffs. Just anything that's going to add a little bit of extra layer of controller debuff there is always decent. And you see we just put her in the best pieces we had. We did get a little bit of crit rate, which was nice to give her a little bit of damage, but that's not really important with her. We're looking mainly for speed, defense, HP, and accuracy. So she's tough and get those debuffs out with some consistency. Attack gloves, these were really the best glove I had to fit the stats I was looking for, so I just threw those on her. She is in an accuracy chest again. If you can't get that accuracy from all your gear, it's okay to have an accuracy chest, especially in the perception set, since that does give you the 96 plus the extra 40 for the set, so you're automatically just going to get almost 140 accuracy just from those two pieces. And then we did get a nice set of speed boots here in the cursed set with some HP and resistance on them for the first two rolls in the rare piece, so not too bad. Her accessories are nothing special, just defense, a little bit of HP, and then some defense on the banner. Only got one speed roll there, which is unfortunate, but we still got her, 240. She's running pretty quick. Either way there, like I said, the gear, the speed is important. The faster you can go, the better. The faster you can get all those debuffs out and everything. And then just to kind of go over her kit real quick, because not many people spend the time here. So her A1 does put out the heal reduction, attacks 2 times at random, but it's only a 15%. And one of her other abilities is conditional on that heal reduction, which is why we put her in that set, because it gives us a little bit of a higher chance to put that out. So she could actually put a 60% decreased defense out if the target has heal reduction on them already on this on the A2 here. So that's one of the things, that kind of gives us a little bit of extra out of her kit there, putting her in that cursed set. And Arctic Winds increase speed and increase attack on all allies. This can actually be a very helpful boost in arena early on if you get her. And increased speed is always good pretty much anywhere in the game that you're trying to get through and progress a little bit faster. And she's got a nice aura early on. Like I mentioned, this was a champion I pulled very early in my account, and she was very helpful for account progression because of that. I can show you her mastery. So we to go defense tree. We went down into fearsome presence to make sure we could take advantage of placing those debuffs here from the cursed set. And it's always kind of nice when you get a little bit of extra help from those debuffs. So let's look there at Frostbringer. Now we got our 2 rare champions we're going to take a look at on the team. First being Banshee, one of my favorite rares. In this game, very underrated kit, basically A1, A2 or AoEs. She's got a pretty solid A3, which you can also turn off if you want in the AI settings, so she's always using her AoE abilities. Actually kind of a fun champion when that first rotation of Hydra was out, because you could use the AoE attacks along with that Inquisitor Shamal strategy, so she was actually a pretty underrated champion for Hydra when it first popped up. Just a way she had those AoE attacks on her skills. But you can take a look at the gear here, and again, we don't really have too much invested in these on the glyphs. We got a couple of decent speed rolls on the stun set. We were mainly looking for accuracy and speed for her so that we would be able to hit some of these debuffs that are in her kit, in addition to getting the stun debuffs. So basically we went with a perception set with a little bit of HP and defense so we could get some survivability. That's something we mentioned throughout the video, is having your champs well built with HP and over that 3,000 defense number, in addition to getting that speed and that accuracy, is going to give you a lot of mileage, especially when you start getting into the harder content. Got defense, and then attack on the banner. Not the most ideal banner here, but I think this was the only one that got a speed roll at the time that I built her, so I just had to use it. We just had to go with it there. Now, we do have her again coming down the defense tree into Fearsome Presence to give us extra chance to land those stun debuffs there. And I do believe she is fully booked, which rare book's pretty easy to come by these days, so didn't have too much of a problem there with that. Now we're going to get into Abyssal, again, one of my other favorite rare champions in the game because of his AoE utility, and we have actually done a Hydra video with him before on the normal Hydra, using him for his block buffs on the AoE A1, which is really a pretty strong skill for a rare champion like him. But let's just take a look at his gear. Now, his accuracy did suffer a little bit because we gave Banshee our best stun set, so I kind of threw him in the secondary stun set I had, plus a frost set just to kind of goof around, see if we could land some freeze debuffs. We didn't really hit too many of those, but it's just kind of fun to have those there just in case. And again, we didn't really do too much with the glyphs on these. These are just some kind of run-of-the-mill pieces we had sitting around. We didn't even glyph the shield or the boots, but you can kind of see the stats we have here. Basically just 1 or 2 speed rolls in some of these. Again, got some HP. His defense is a little low, at right around 2,000. That's one of the reasons he did die a couple of times, but that's why we have Syl in this team as well, so she can revive. And you see here we just went HP. We did put him in a crit damage amulet just because it had the accuracy double roll there. We wanted to try to get that up there, but unfortunately his accuracy is pretty much crap. Which is unfortunate for that A1 landing the block buffs. If we could get his accuracy up a little higher here, maybe with like an accuracy banner, which I just didn't have when I built him, it would have been a lot better for his kit overall. But even with not a great build on him, he's still able to get a lot of utility out of those debuffs. And again, we went all the way down to get Fearsome Presence for an extra chance at landing that stun. So that's kind of a look at the champions we used there. Had a lot of fun making this video, and just kind of wanted to show you guys that even with just using like some rare control champions, support, defense, HP, you don't need a ton of damage. You can even use these guys and get kind of high up in the Doom Tower hard. Now again, this is not a team that's going to carry you all the way to the end of hard Doom Tower. You are going to need some specialized champs once you get higher up, especially the last 20 floors or so, when they start throwing those Mortal Macabs, the Tormans, the Stiffies, and the Rotos, all that at you. It's going to come down to more of a gear check. Now, we could do that with these champions, but we would need some pretty crazy gear in order to take care of that. So it's not impossible. It's just you need to be at a much more advanced stage of the game than I am in terms of like super end game when you have crazy gear that you can do that. But for now, for those harder floors, like I said, I usually will throw in Coronar and Angar together, and that's kind of my my provoke control turn meter duo. Those guys are pretty strong, and kind of the same concept though. That's kind of what I wanted to show with this video, is taking the concept and just applying it to the harder content, where you can just use those control abilities, use those debuffs to your advantage, and then you maybe you can use 3 or 4 of these champs and bring in that strong damage dealers and clear the waves a little bit faster. So some different options you have there that you can use, and hopefully you guys found this helpful. As always, if you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to leave it down below in the comments, and I will do my best to get you an answer as soon as I can. As always, hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you again next time.